course.
Hey guys, welcome to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy Show. We are actually live from FanQuest here in Winnipeg. We are joined by Rob and Will from Ener-con. Holy crap, it's been a long day. So let's start with, what is Ener-con?
Ener-con is Manitoba's first Transformers fan convention. It's a offshoot of our fan club, Ener-con North, which we started in 2009. And we do all kinds of cool stuff. There's lots of vendors. It's basically a toy-driven convention, toy collectors, stuff like that. But we get into artists, we get into all your soup to nuts of your conventions with programming, different things like that, celebrity guests, all that type of stuff.
All the fun stuff.
Absolutely.
So when did Ener-con start, and what kind of led to it?
We founded Ener-con North in 2009, myself and a handful of other guys who were on the Cybertron.ca fan forum, which is Canadian-specific Transformers news site. We started getting together, and I specifically had looked at groups like the 501st and said, that's a neat concept. We're not cosplaying, but why don't we have a Transformers fan group that covers off some of these same things? So we kind of put it together. We started appearing at conventions. 2010, I think, was our first convention appearance. 2009 maybe at C4, and then 2010 at Icon. And we've been going ever since with the idea that we'd start the club, we'd attend some conventions, and eventually we'd start running shows of our own.
That is definitely awesome. I think I've always been excited with the whole Transformers thing.
Yeah.
I grew up with Transformers. It's been that little childhood fun time of mine. So it's definitely awesome to see it in the city, especially with so many different ones. Transformers is the one you don't see very much.
Yeah, for sure. Transformers is a fandom that, fandom maybe not the right word. The Transformers franchise, it's never gone away. Since it started up in 1984, there's been new toys almost every year, every second year, always new stuff constantly, all the way through so many different cartoons and series and comic books and all that kind of stuff. So it's been very consistent over time, and just keeps going until now. And now it's more popular than ever with the Michael Bay films coming along. Like them or hate them, they've gotten a lot of attention on Transformers. So
I don't know.
Wow. You need to start asking questions
Well,
too.
I'm sorry. For those people who aren't aware, we are currently also on Facebook Live, and I'm filming everything. So I tend to be kind of quiet. Sorry, guys. Greetings from the 7th Moon and Thunder. Of course, I am that mask guy along with Captain Fizz here. This is a bit different for us, but we're having some fun here at FanQuest.
It's been a long day. I think we've all got here, 10 o'clock this morning?
Oh, I was more like 8:30.
Yeah,
we were late bloomers.
Late bloomer to get here, not so much doing stuff. But
early in the morning.
So what can people expect from Ener-con this year?
Okay, this year, we've got the usual kind of, we got about 40 vendor spaces. By vendor, we're talking artists, guys selling their toys, local businesses coming out, that kind of thing. We also have guest artists like Will. Evan Queering is coming out again. He does amazing sketches of Transformers. We've got Laverne, and I'm going to try the name, Kinderzinski, who has been working as a colorist for decades in Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, all these different comics. Anyway, he's currently doing the G.I. Joe Revolution thing for IDW, and it ties in that Skywarp has joined the G.I. Joe team in this comic. So there's just a natural Transformers crossover right there. Chris Chukri, who's another colorist who's worked for all the big companies. He's coming out as well. He has some ideas for some special art he's going to do, and we're setting up some workshops, panels with him, that kind of thing. And then our big guest is Richard Newman, who's the voice of Rhinox in Beast Wars, and voice of Vector Prime in Transformers Cybertron, and the voice of Tankor and Rhinox in Beast Machines.
Definitely fanboy moment.
Of course, here in Canada, or at least for a little while, Beast Wars, for whatever reason, it's called Beasties. I don't actually remember why that was. Apparently,
they didn't want to use the term war in it. It's similar logic as to why Bumblebee couldn't be a Volkswagen Beetle in the first Bay film. It's because Volkswagen didn't want to be associated with war toys, and so Volkswagen would not allow the license to have them be used. And so Chevrolet got on that, and we got these awesome American-made vehicles that they not so randomly selected to be. But it was a similar type of logic where they didn't want to use the word war in this type of series, and so they changed it to Beasties.
Which, of course, sounds really, epic and everything.
Yeah, although, still, when I hear the term, like when I hear Beast Wars on my DVD set, it hits the ear weird because I grew up watching my TV and thinking I heard Beasties, and like when you hear that whole thing come around, like I'm ready for some albeit now it seems stilted animation, but at the time it was quite fantastic. Still is, like, by comparison, it's actually it holds up quite well. Yeah. Thankfully, the narratives were fantastic.
Those guys with I'm not remembering the name of the company, but they did the Stormhawks and they did Reboot.
Well, it was something I think they named after it was like it became Matrix Studios or something like that. I can't remember.
Revolutionary at the time
when it turned over to that studio.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess the next question to go with that is, when is Ener-con and where?
Ener-con is August 26th and 27th at the Canadians Polo Park destination centers. And it might be on the 25th as well. We might have some Friday night programming. We'll see how that plays out. But 26th and 27th for sure. And we'll be roughly 10 to 6 both days. And all kinds of good stuff going on there. We're in their event center there. It's going to be a unique space. We're trying something a little different, but we're going to have a unique space. We're going to have areas to sit down. It's going to be a little different than your standard kind of square convention space.
Sitting down is always a plus.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of notes, and I feel unprepared.
I've gotten through some of them here.
What else can you bring up about Ener-con and other things that are coming up involving it?
One of the things that I feel like is the main event of the show each year is something Will's been a part of since we got rolling here, and that's the script reading with the guest voice actor. And Will has always lent his voice talents to this endeavor.
Yeah,
and has done some neat stuff. Like, for instance, he brought Sunstorm to life the first year.
Yeah, the first time he was ever voiced.
Yeah, he never had this.
So I had to create a voice for him, and I pretty much aped what I ended up doing. I also did voices on this Malaysian-based series called Transformer Generation. That's stop-motion animation. And I took the voice of Sunstorm and I just turned him into, it was basically Smokescreen.
Okay.
So he had this sort of relaxed sort of voice. He had no action to his tones. And so I took this sophisticated man and I just sort of turned it into Sunstorm, sort of an arrogant type who might subscribe to the New Yorker. But I sort of took that tone with it, the laid-back Smokescreen voice, and turned it into Sunstorm. And I've since had to do all sorts of G1 characters or replicate them.
How many have you done now working with is that Louis Harrelou or whatever?
Yeah, the Harris Studios. Yeah. That I did 4 voices in the first one, I think, or maybe 5, because I know I was Huffer, Smokescreen, Sideswipe, and then his G2 doppelganger that we just called Lambor, because he was the Sideswipe of G2, and they included him in it. So they had one just be a normal voice, like pretty much how I'm speaking now, except with a slightly lighter tone, would just be Sideswipe, because that's how they sort of talked in those ones. And then Lambor, they wanted him the gruff voice, because he was the dark, light yin-yang side to him. And then Huffer, Gears. Most recently, I did a promo commercial. He did a commercial in Malaysia for a company that produces these like third-party things, and I did the voice of Warpath for that one, which was a lot of fun because you just get to like bang.
I was going to say you did the
bang. How about some boom? Bang! Wow! And you just yell that sort of stuff way louder than I should be doing in this hall. And was it Gears? I might have been Gears in that one too. Can't remember who else. I lost track. There was a few in there that I was doing, and then I added a few.
It's one of the neat things that we have, like all conventions, we have a lot of programming and stuff like that. And we actually, like last time in 2015, when at our last show, we had a fan-made movie thing, and Will went down and we showed one of the YouTube movies that he did the voices in and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then we had, because last event it was Neil Kaplan who
Yes.
came in, and so he was doing Optimus, and then I was like the Doppel Optimus
Yeah.
in that, and then with the Waspinator cameo,
Yes.
which to much fanfare seemed to
Yes.
inspire this year's theme is going to be around Beast Wars. So we got the Beast Wars actor, and
Yeah.
then purely because they wanted Waspinator to return,
Yes.
Waspinator will
Oh,
be
definitely.
back into it because it was everyone's favorite. Because it's the silly, easiest voice in the world to do. I'm just constantly jabbing my my Adam's apple to get that waspinator terrorize kind of tone.
It was one of the most annoying sounds, but also the most entertaining, all at the same, panel. So
Well, he was always slaughtered in
Yes.
so many episodes. He was the
That
only
was-
one
it's,
to.
It's funny. When I was a kid in the 80s, I watched G1 or whatever. Beast Wars I was aware of. I watched the odd episode, but the one that stood out to me was the Waspinator episode where Starscream, what's it called? Possesses
him. Yeah.
Possesses him. And then I was hooked on Beast Wars after I saw that episode. I was like, well, there you go. What's going on here? There's G1, there's Starscream, there's Unicron, there, all this stuff going on. So yeah. one
Yeah,
of
the
those-
ghost of Starscream
Yeah,
Scream
yeah,
coming back, which
yeah.
it's always fun to see voice actors attempting to recreate the Chris Latta.
Yes,
It always ends up being like, I know whenever I'm asked to do it, I always slip very easily into either too much Cobra Commander and I'm getting too squealy, or I accidentally slip into Mark Hamill's Joker because it's just so much easier when you're up here to, oh Harvey, you suddenly just drop it a little bit like that, and because with the Starscream you have to be up here. More or less. And I always want to do that Cobra retreat type tone, and then it's so hard to tame it down a bit. It's like, how do you feel, mighty Megatron?
They've tried to keep. A lot of the voice actors now have started doing. Like Charlie Adler was here in 2008 at
Yeah.
C4. He's done both Starscream and Cobra Commander now, and several of the other ones. One of the Drummond brothers.
And
have
in the
done-
Bayverse,
yeah,
he does
yeah.
Starscream,
Yeah.
and he just kept him all around here.
Yeah.
He was just Megatron. Sort of like in Prime, Steve Bloom does sort of a bit more of this rasp with this Starscream, and occasionally it gets a little bit up here like Megatron. You're here, you're alive, and it's a bit not as screamy, I guess. Despite it being Starscream, it's not as screechy. That's the term I'm trying to use, and it's way easier on the throat because Chris Latta screamed all of his lines, and it was really it's impossible to replicate. And every voice actor even all the original G1 guys always say they all confess that they tried to after studio sessions to do Starscream's voice, and even if they could do it, they said I could only do it for like 20 seconds. It's like Chris Latta could just scream for hours.
that is insane. How long have you actually been a voice actor for?
I guess I started actually doing getting paid for voice acting. Oh, jeepers! I don't know. It would have been the first thing I think I did that I was paid for was a series called Super Strikers, which aired nowhere in North America, but it aired in 19 different nations. It was originally based on a comic in South Africa, so it was about a soccer team. So it was very popular wherever football is popular. So it plays a lot in Europe.
Well, it's big in Malaysia. The
I've had a
offers are
lot
rolling
of.
in.
I've done a lot of odd stuff that in Malaysia. I had a music video in Japan. I've had a lot of weird stuff get out there in other countries that I have not even visited. See, I've had a song that was sort of released in Japan accidentally. I didn't intend to release it. It was just on a DVD, and then the people liked it, and so they put the music video out. And the music video looked terrible, but that wasn't my fault. But voice acting I've been doing for a decent while. Just a different little project, sometimes little fan projects that are just some people will get in touch with me. Especially with the Transformers stuff, that has a lot of attention because someone will hear one voice and oh, can you do this and this? And they ask me to do, I'm doing Springer and Warpath in another online series that hasn't come out yet. And that was just because they heard that one voice and are you willing to do this one? And they know that when it comes to Transformers, I work for pretty much nothing. It's sometimes I'll get paid, sometimes I'll get nothing because I just want the opportunity to learn those voices, try those voices. But then there's been a few different things, a lot of movie stuff that I would just do screams and gurgles and whatnot for because I was in a metal band for a long time, and so I would get brought into studios to do growls for if they needed a scene with a bunch of ogres. There was a series called Landfist Quest that was airing on Disney XD in Australia and a few other places. It was based on a Belgian comic, and the same studio that did Kung Fu Panda did that once with this wonderful 3D animated